In China, many children have become disabled due to fake vaccines, such as this one. This girl is 4 years old. She can't walk and has weak hand muscles. She has to take off socks with her mouth. Someone suspected the Wuhan pharmaceutical company's real agenda might have been to test the vaccines on children. This girl's mother shared that the local government prevented her from taking the child to Beijing to see a doctor. In the video, she splashed ink on the municipal government's plaque. In fact, there have always been many brave people who had the courage to resist the CCP in mainland China. In the video, the lead singer's name is Zhou Caiwei. He and a group of people changed the lyrics of CCP's propaganda song and said, "The sky under the Chinese Communist Party is dark, its members are shameless. The bandits used to be deep in the mountains, but now they are the police officers." Someone said Zhou Caiwei has been seeking to wake people up from the CCP's lies throughout his life. He was secretly and illegally detained several times and sent to a mental hospital. Now he has passed away. His YouTube videos have also been deleted. Someone said, in Communist China, the names of many people who lost their lives because they resisted the CCP have been rarely known about after their death. The CCP's suppression and censorship of information has reached an appalling degree. Even this elderly lady couldn't bear the CCP. Someone said, those who turn a blind eye to the CCP's atrocities are really not as clear-headed as this elderly lady is. Recently, at the Hainan Free Trade Port, Chinese businessman Jack Ma said, in China, the trend will shift from bulk selling to bulk buying. It will be very difficult in the short term and even more difficult in the mid-term. Now, we are in a bumpy period. Everyone must wear seatbelts. Someone said the buying mentioned by Jack Ma should mainly imply buying food. Otherwise, the Chinese people might suffer from food shortages. It was said that recently the housing prices in Yanjiao, a town about 30 kilometers east of Beijing, where thousands of migrants working the capital live in, have fallen sharply. In some places, housing prices have fallen by more than 40%. Many real estate agencies have shut down. Someone shared a picture of meat tickets distributed by the local government. Someone said some areas of China have built official warehouses to conduct unified asset management and adjustments for government agencies and units to save administrative costs. Perhaps, indeed, the difficult days will be coming soon. Someone said the government is imposing more and more fines on merchants and enterprises. Someone said in China, in a small county with a population of less than 500,000, there are more than 1,500 officials and more than 10,000 staff. Therefore, although the Chinese people are hardworking, they have to feed too many people. That's why they lead tiring lives. Someone said the main difference between Communist China and a normal country is that in a normal country, ordinary people only work to support one government. Well, in addition to supporting the government, ordinary people in China also have to support party committees at the same level. The number of party committee personnel is larger than that of the government at the same level. There are also more than a dozen government offices and agencies, including labor unions, youth league committees, and women's federations. There are also various levels of propaganda media offices, party schools, etc. How can ordinary people not suffer by living in this kind of bureaucratic system? Someone shared what he called a real joke and said, once I had an issue that needed to be resolved, I sought help from the driver of the secretary of the secretary of the secretary of the county chief. Someone added, in fact, the Chinese people still have to support various state-owned enterprises and associations. Therefore, in a county of 500,000 people, there are at least 30,000 to 40,000 people working in the public sector. There are even 70,000 to 80,000 people who depend on these people to make a living. It can be said that most counties and cities in China are basically supported by a public economic system. Without it, not many people can find a way to survive in the local area, but this system takes away all the resources from and exploits all those living at the bottom tier of society. Someone said, many recent college graduates around me already carry 30 years of mortgage on their backs at a young age. They have to repay more than 5,000 yuan a month. My mortgage is 7,000 yuan a month. My family also helps me pay it back every month. I am still lucky because there are many people who can't even afford the mortgage. Therefore, most of China's young people are kidnapped by real estate. I have worked hard enough, but I'm leading an extremely tiring life every day. According to research from Zhou Tianyong, Vice Director of Research at the Central Party School of the Communist Party of China, in Chinese history, the ratio of officials to people in the Western Han Dynasty was 1 to 7,945. In the Eastern Han Dynasty, it was 1 to 7,464. In Tang Dynasty, it was 1 to 2,927. In Yuan Dynasty, it was 1 to 2,613. In Ming Dynasty, it was 1 to 2,299. And in Qing Dynasty, it was 1 to 911. The ratio of officials to people in today's China under Beijing's iron grip has reached 1 to 18. Which means that 18 Chinese people are raising or supporting one CCP official. It was said that a petition to hang up Xi Jinping's portrait on the Tiananmen Gate has been initiated. The petition said Xi Jinping is the great helmsman 2.0 of contemporary China and possesses global leadership. It also claimed that this is the common wish of 1.5 billion Chinese people as well as 7.8 billion people worldwide. The two initiators of this petition are Wang Zhongwei, Secretary and Director of the State Council's Office, and Shen Genlin, President of the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore's Alumni Association. Someone said they did this because they wanted Xi to bear all of the CCP's atrocities accumulated over the past 7 decades. I'm just worried that Xi will feel flattered upon hearing this and would really want to have his portrait being put up there. Someone wondered, do they not want to be materialists anymore? Someone said it is recommended that young people plan a visit to 4 places. The first is New York, to see how the world's center operates at high speed. The second is Japan, to see our neighbor and former enemy. The third is Taiwan, to see another possibility for the Chinese nation. And the fourth is North Korea, to be reminded of never going back to the past. Someone said many people have been to all 4 countries, but they still chose North Korea in the end. Someone provided some evidence to prove that Japan differs drastically from Communist China and said, the figures printed on the Japanese banknotes are well-known educators, writers, or scientists, or people accomplished in other fields, while the figure printed on all Chinese banknotes, regardless of the value, is Mao Zedong, despite carrying different identities. For example, the one printed on the 5 yuan bill is the thinker Mao Zedong, on the 10 yuan bill is the revolutionary Mao, on the 20 yuan bill is the politician Mao, and on the 100 yuan bill is the poet Mao. Someone added, in China, the figure that is printed on the 10,000 yuan joss paper is also Mao. Someone said after the US-led Allied military occupied Japan, it began a nationwide campaign of reform or democratization. It prohibited the promotion of extremist ideology and speech in the media and restored the history that was distorted by the Japanese imperial government. Such policies were implemented for many years before Japan gradually developed into the leading democracy in Asia as it is today. Someone agreed the Japanese regime was also brutal in the past, but after Japan democratized under America's leadership during the post-World War II era, it became civilized. China was once a civilized nation, but it became the opposite today after being poisoned by communism. Therefore, from the gap that we see between South and North Korea and East and West Germany, we can conclude that the dangerous communism ideology can completely change the character of a nation. Someone said, although East and West Germany appear to have been unified for nearly 30 years, German educator Herzog also once mentioned that In the eyes of outsiders, the difference between the two regions is only in the economic realm. However, that is merely a facade. The economic gap is easy to fill up, but the biggest internal and difficult gap lies in the minds. People in the two regions still have different ways of thinking and uphold different values. There are basically two kinds of people now. The West advocates for freedom, independence, and innovation, while the East doesn't. This made many things that worked well in the West turn out to be difficult to be implemented in East Germany. Therefore, the true unification of East and West Germany may not happen until the era when generations of people have suffered both directly and indirectly from the Soviet regime has passed.
Child, we will take you in. Child, we